Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the host of the program. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or to sell real estate, and it does it with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, many home sellers fear the home inspection. Many people think that most buyers want to purchase their home as is, but what are some red flags that home sellers need to prepare for when they're selling their home when it comes to inspections?
Well, Richard, inspections are a very interesting adventure in my world. And I think the fear has some founding to it because most people don't inspect their homes every day. Like the most common thing that we see inspected lately are sewer and septic lines. However, if a homeowner doesn't have a backup, they're not going to check it. They'll just say, I've had no problems. And those could be very big ticket issues. So there's a whole bunch of different things that come under scrutiny on a home inspection. And the other issue too is that in the state of Colorado, there is no license or qualification to be an inspector. So you've got some random person inspecting the home that likely doesn't have any credentials, but they think they do. Maybe they took an online certification, if that makes you feel better. So it gets very interesting. Sometimes they don't understand the systems. I've had two in the last 2 weeks where they could not figure out how to turn something on, like a light. And it was like, really? You just pull the string and that was the end of that story. So
Seriously, wow. Okay.
yeah, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that goes on. So you really want to focus on checking out your high cost things. The roofs get hit with hail all the time. Furnaces, if they're more than 20 years old, you need to have it checked out. You should be checking those out every year anyway. Electrical panels, structural, it would be obvious if you had structural issues. The floors would be crooked or walls would be cracked, that kind of thing. I mentioned sewer and septic, but if you pre-plan it and you work with a great real estate agent, you could sell your home worry-free and go through the process with the confidence in knowing that you don't have to sell it twice, that you're going to get to the finish line, everything's going to go just fine. So HVAC and furnace, I do recommend you have it cleaned and serviced every single year. The water heater, I would definitely check that out while the furnace guy is there. A lot of times the inspectors will try to impose what we call today's building code on older homes. So in older homes, the whole home might have had maybe two of those GFCI outlets, which is one of those electrical outlets that the circuit breaker pops right there on the outlet. And now the code is you have to have one of those on every single space where there's water, even outside. So there's a certain brand of electrical panel that's basically has a reputation of mud, and it's a safety issue in everybody's mind. So it almost always gets requested to be replaced out of these closings. They're called Federal Pacific panels. And then with plumbing, there's a lot of hidden things that you may not know about. There could be a leak that you don't even know about it. Occasionally, the inspector causes leaks. Then, of course, with included appliances. So, just so you know what's included and what's not. When you sell a home, what's considered to go with the home are the built-in stoves, dishwasher, microwave, disposal, those kind of things. Refrigerator and washer and dryer are actually personal property. And if you want to include it, it's a gift to the buyer. An appraiser may only give you $150 of value for each, yet they cost more. So typically I'll recommend to my sellers, hey, if you're going to give that away to the buyer, that's fine. A lot of people don't want to spend the money to move it and all that kind of thing. Then we're going to put in the disclosure that these are offered as a courtesy as is. I had one seller that thought that she had to replace the refrigerator to make it counter depth, to make it more attractive in the kitchen. And it had a little dent on it. And I'm like, no, no, that's a present. It's a prezi to the buyer. Don't replace that. So she didn't, and they still got $50,000 over asking price. Some things that could be very expensive are the sewer and septic lines. So you definitely want to have those checked out prior to going under contract with a buyer. Those are very, very expensive. And then, of course, because we have so much hail here, most people that have hail damage don't have a roof leak. That's pretty uncommon to have a leak, but they could have damage that requires the roof to actually be replaced. So I would definitely check those out after every time. And so here's what happens with inspections. In the state of Colorado, there's no license to be an inspector. There is a license to test for radon, but not to inspect the whole home, which is insane to me. Um, and so what happens normally, what should happen is after you go under contract, the buyer's agent will schedule an inspection. They want to come to the house with their inspector. Sometimes they show up at the house with multiple inspectors, with contractors to give bids. I mean, sometimes they show up with a crowd and they're not supposed to do that. This is not party time for the buyer. This is solely an inspection. So we have to make sure we manage expectations with people bringing contracts on our properties. But what's happened twice to me in the past week is that the inspector gets there, they see that the seller's there, and they ask them to leave. Can you believe that, Richard?
Nothing surprises me, but that just seems so inappropriate.
Well, and the sellers are calling me going, well, am I supposed to leave? And I'm like, it's your house. Of course you're not supposed to leave. And so this last time it happened, I prepared the seller for it. I don't think he believed it was going to happen. And so sure enough, the inspector said, okay, well, I need you to leave because I have to talk one-on-one with these buyers. And he was ready. He goes, nope, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to stay and you can leave. And I was so
Whoa,
proud of him.
nice. Nice. I'm sorry, but it is your home.
That's right. I was so proud of him. It's great. Sometimes the buyer's agents try to skip out on the inspection. So get this, right? They open a door. If they open a door, most of the time they send their buyers to the open house. And if their buyer likes it, they write up a 10-minute contract. That's been a lot of my experience in the past year. So they don't have to show it. They have to write up a 10-minute contract. Their next job is to represent their buyer on the inspection, but they don't want to go to that. It's 2 hours of their time. So what do? They ask if we can give access to this unlicensed, uninsured inspector and let them go in your home and inspect the home for 3 hours. Would you like that, Richard?
I wouldn't think about that. I mean, that is ridiculous, Barb. Some of the things that you talk about, I know they happen because I've known you for so long and you've been doing this. So you are warning about people that are real life issues that are out there.
It keeps happening over and over again. So now we have a system where we notify them what to expect and we tell the seller, if you can be there, you're going to be there. If you can't be there, we're going to be there to represent you, because you never know some of the crazy stuff that happens. Some of these inspectors will come in with their little gadget. It's like I don't know what it is, but they call it an infrared detector. And so they'll run it along the drywall where they think there's plumbing and, oh, the color's different. Oh my God, red alert, there must be a leak. That's an immediate assumption, which all it detects is temperature change. So I had them demand that we bring a plumber out to check for leaks on a shower. The inspection took place at 9 in the morning. The sellers had just gotten out of the shower. Of course, the temperature is going to be different. I mean, this stuff goes on all the time. They'll ask you to update the carbon monoxide detectors. I had one guy come in with this really weird device, and he was waving it all around, and he called it the mold wand. That theoretically it was detecting mold. That can't be true. It could only be moisture. There's different kinds of mold. There's mold everywhere, inside and out, and you actually have to physically test it and get a report that comes back that says what kind of mold it is. It's just insane. Anyway, that's the kind of stuff I deal with on a regular basis, and I try to protect you from the craziness. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and I'm the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we are talking about red flags during a home inspection. Next up, we're going to talk about what you can do to make sure your home inspection goes smoothly. Richard?
That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you are interested in selling your home, you want to call Barb at 719-301-3900. Barb, we're talking about how to avoid the red flags on home inspections, what sellers should be looking out for. You've been through this for year after year. You've seen it come and go, but the issues remain. What are some of the other home inspection issues that have popped up over the years?
Well, I think some of the crazy things that I see on a regular basis are just the mistakes that these inspectors make. Now, per the contract, they are supposed to fix anything they break, and they do break stuff. If we don't tell them that they can't do stuff, they're just going to think it's okay to do it. Let me give you an example. If the house is an older home and it doesn't have a sewer clean out, either in the mechanical room or the front yard, I've had inspectors come in and pull the toilet without permission, and they've broken vinyl. They have broken the flange, I don't know if I said that word right, flange that holds the toilet on. And then of course they're like, oh, it wasn't me, you know. Yes, it was. And so we make them pay for it if they do that. But we tell them, hey, you cannot do that if you don't have a license for anything. So if you want to pull a toilet, you, buyer, have to pay for inspections. You bring in a licensed plumber who knows how to reseat a toilet if that has to be done. And a lot of people ask me, do I have to worry about appraisals? Well, no, because an appraisal is an opinion of value and confirmation that the home meets the loan guidelines. It is not an inspection. They will come in and they're going to basically look at the value and the condition of the home. They want to know when the recent updates were. And they're only looking for safety issues, like if there's trip hazards on the outside. Like I had one property that the sidewalk got raised up from roots from an aspen tree. And so the appraiser asked us to fix that because they thought it was a safety hazard. Broken windows, missing well covers of window wells that are really, really deep that'd be easy to fall in. That's kind of what an appraisal cares about. But there's certain things you just don't have to fix. If your decking's working fine, let it be. If your concrete has a little crack, that's pretty normal. It's just if the concrete has raised somewhere where you could trip on it. Some of these inspectors will come in, and if you have a well, they think it's okay to just run the water for 4 hours and test the well. That is not okay. That's not how you test a well. We have to watch them to make sure that they don't do that. I actually had one person last year run the water so long he sucked the well dry and sucked sand up through the well pump into the house, and there was sand in the tub and the sink. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this guy did that. So that could actually damage the pump and the plumbing fixtures. If the buyers get an FHA or VA loan, they will have to test the water for what they call potability, which is bacteria test or lead test. So I tell them, hey, get that done early because it takes a few weeks to get those tests back. Windows, broken seals are cosmetic, but window functionality or broken windows are important. And you know, there's crazy agent behavior that goes on during inspections. Remember that one I told you about, Richard, where the buyer ordered pizza at the inspection?
Remind me, I mean, that is unbelievable.
Well,
Unbelievable.
I get this panicky call from the seller going, what in the heck is going on? Are they squatting in my house? I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, there's an inspection going on. He goes, well, why are they having pizza delivered? So they sent me the image from their Ring doorbell. It wasn't just one pizza. It was 4 pizzas and a bag of wings. So no wonder he thought they were going to stay for a while. So, you know, they do crazy things. I've had buyer's agents go and open the door. You think they're being protected or your house is being protected with a licensed agent. They go open the door, they let the inspector in, and then they turn around and leave the inspector and the buyer in the house unescorted. So I don't trust these guys. You have to watch everything that they do. And so that's why we represent our clients the right way. Richard?
You're listening to Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. That's Barb Schlinker. If you're thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about how to maximize your sales price when you're selling your home. You're going to hear about that from Barb Schlinker. She's the host of the program and the expert. Stay tuned for that.